Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the FPL show. Another big week is finished from this fun game that we played. Boys, how we going?
Oh yeah, living the dream, Paulie. How about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I can't complain at all, other than the fact that my team has completely struggled this week, but I'm sure we'll get into it. Dom, how you going?
We've seen better weeks in the FPL world and the real football world, haven't we?
Yeah, there's plenty to unpack, and I think we'll obviously keep it FPL focused tonight, but probably one of the most interesting weekends of football that we've seen, and that also led to an interesting weekend of fantasy. So I might just kick us straight off. We're just going to do a quick run through of our teams. We'll probably do a deeper dive on Friday night of what we're planning and maybe some of the thought behind it. But the theme of today is talking about premium players in FPL.
Yep.
And the reason we're talking about premium players, why does this happen every time I go to do this? It just doesn't want to work. I hate this so much. Every time it happens. Oh, come on. No, I don't want Discord. I want that. There we go. Now we're on. So, actually, I probably should share my screen for you guys as well so you can see what I'm talking about. Because all the viewers can see it, but unfortunately, my co-host cannot see what I'm talking about. So maybe that's some history that I need to learn. But there is my team from this week. So 41 points below average, which was disappointing, but lots of decisions didn't go my way. You can see my bench there. Melier, Andreas, Trippier, all doing quite well there. 7 points, 8 points, 6 points. Trent, Cancelo, both with donuts, big fat donuts in the back with Robertson on 1, Patterson on 2. Who would have thought out of that back 4 that Patterson would have been my highest scoring defender? Salah, I took him off captain Friday night, Saturday afternoon, put it on Jesus, and it didn't work out, unfortunately, but we'll talk about him a bit later on. the De Silva Andreas decision really cost me, but bringing Ivan Toney in helped me out big time. So who wants to talk through their team next about what happened this week to them?
I will definitely go because let's just rip this off like a band-aid. So from the Digne -1, the Bailey non-star, all the depths of despair, and it can't get any worse for little old Damo. Oh, I tell you what, lads, if you thought that was despair when Digne scored the own goal, how do you think it feels when there's more points on my bench than there is for most of the players that are on the park?
I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah, donuts for Trent and for Cancelo, like Paul. But our big difference is that his 4.0 Patterson outscores my Cucurella. Ward in net did absolutely nothing yet again. Salah as captain, stuck to my guns. Glad I did that because without Salah, it would be a very dismal week. Foden on 2, created a lot, but obviously didn't do much. Martinelli. De Silva, obviously, for Andreas. Andreas had that yellow Dorito or death. Never trust the yellow Dorito or death. And unfortunately, you live by the sword. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. I've died by the sword this game week. The most annoying one was Dunk because I had him in for a large percentage of the of my game week lead up and decided to go Silva late doors only because I feel like West Ham are going to get a bit of a reaction and score in that game. So to think that those points could have been on the park is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. I've already made my transfer for next week, and yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, we'll jump over to Dom's team now. So that is up there for us. So your team is on screen. Dom was the top scorer of the round once again out of us, and you want to talk through your side?
So this week I bought in De Silva and Raya for Ward and Bailey. So what did Bailey score?
Bailey got an assist, first goal.
So yeah, I think I was worse off by a point because Raya scored 3 and Ward scored 1.
Yep.
Oh no, sorry, I've Ward on my bench. It was Iverson. But left the captaincy on Kane because I just thought he was going to do a bit more.
Yep.
Paulie and I watched the game together. When that header went in, I thought we're on here. When he gets one, he was looking good. He was creating, but Spurs just didn't look like they wanted to score. They were content with the 1-0, which I thought was weird. But Wolves set up with a low block, which I didn't expect. I expect Wolves to come out and play, which they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I probably would have captained Haaland if I didn't. So ended up the same. But yeah, once again, the defense. The defense just really disappointed me. Seeing James line up at right centre back. Trent,
Yeah, it was frustrating,
I was
wasn't it?
talking about Trent all week to you two, saying I'm just not impressed. 7.5. I thought I'd stick with it again, and drops a fat donut.
Yeah,
And then of course the points on the bench again.
I actually haven't looked at your bench yet. Wait a minute. Let me scroll down to your
I think
bench
I had
so
about 17.
everyone can
Yeah.
see. There we go.
I think we're same as everyone else.
Yeah, pretty standard. Andreas, Patterson, Trippier. I think Dom and I have a very similar sort of rotation issues. Obviously, Dom's carrying one less. Premium defender, as you can see on the screen, but he gets the premium attacker and probably a little bit weaker in the midfield. So probably the one thing that I want to go through is the top out of the top 10 premium defenders, there was only 3 points scored between them this week, which is just mind-boggling to me. Is what I heard. Some stats going around. So when you're talking about Trent, Cancelo, Robbo, Verge, Reece James as the top 5, which by price, I mean, not by top scorers, that's pretty concerning statistics. And that's really where we're going to lead the discussion. So let me quickly set up what we're going to be doing, because I've just had a great idea, guys, and I haven't even told you yet this. We are going to unpack some of the data. So I think we're going to start with, let's be positive. Let's start with the players that have the greatest data. So hopefully on your screen now, you should be able to see some of the data for the top 10 scoring defenders. Now, I'm going to talk through it off my notebook, so because I can't actually have... Actually, I can have this. Oh, no, I can't have the screen because it's going to be a bit funky. So I'm not going to have the screen in front of me, but I'm going to continue. But what we want to unpack today, guys, is if you're wildcarding or if you're making big moves, if you need money in other areas, is it statistically viable to have a look at some of these players that are on your screen right now versus some of the premiums? Because when you look at mine and Damo's team in particular, we're talking about having the 3 highest defenders in price, but we're not getting the returns from them, and it's significantly costing us rank. So when I'm looking at the top scoring fantasy defenders, we're looking at William Saliba, we're looking at Kieran Trippier, we're looking at Fabian Schär. What I'm noticing is out of those top 3 is their minutes are all 270. So those top 3 scoring defenders have played every minute of the first 3 games, which is massive. Nothing really differentiates them across the board, which is surprising to me, because you'd think out of those 3 that Kieran Trippier would be the more attacking one. When I look at shots, Saliba, Trippier, and Schär, 1, 2, and 2. When you're looking at goals, they've all got 1 each. Expected goal is in the 0.16 to 0.18 range. So again, they're very tight. They're not expected to be scoring lots of goals. Okay. When we're looking at expected assists, same thing. We're looking at between 0.04 and 0.14. So there's only a 0.1 in it. And the goal involvement between 0.2 and 0.3. So I'm going to stop talking here. I want you guys to tell me what you notice with that data. But what that's telling me is this can't carry on forever when it comes to these players.
Good. You said it. Smacked it on the nail on the head. You got to think back to where they got their points.
The only thing I haven't added, sorry, Damo, for defenders, I should have added was clean sheets, and I don't think it's on this screen.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter.
That's okay. And I was going to say, when you look at Schär's points, right? And for me, I'm a very big expected points versus actual points data person. I believe that over the long term, 3 game weeks isn't long term, the expected data and the points will marry off, and the best players will rise to the top and meet their expected data, where they're players that are a bit more of your knee jerks, the one-hit wonders, will taper. I'm going to look at Schär, for instance. His expected points is 7.9. He's got 20. Most of that came in game week 1, where he hits an absolute worldie from outside the box.
Yep.
You look at Saliba's goal on the weekend. Is he going to score that goal every single week?
Probably
it's
not.
a worldie of a finish, so probably not. You've got to remember, those points are factoring in that, in fact, he shipped an own goal the week before from his own defensive mistake.
Yeah, and then Trippier's is a free kick.
And yeah, Trippier concedes free. He would be on a pretty low score like Cancelo. but he bangs in a free kick, and I cannot believe that VAR in that game has managed to overreturn his given red card. I think once the referee goes and gives him a red, it should have stayed, which should impact his points as well. So when you take all three of them, it's a flash in the pan moment with a little bit of luck, which is what you need in FPL. And if you had those players in from the start, I wish you all the very best, and you've done very well, especially Saliba. If you told me Saliba was going to start, Tommy Ash is going to come back in and not play, Ben White's going to play right back, and Saliba's nailed, I could see it happening for these first 3 game weeks. If that happens for 38 game weeks, yeah, there's a steal of a player there.
At 4.5 to start the season off with too, but
again,
it's roll. It's long-term roll. So that's the top 3. I'll just quickly brush over the second 2. Zinchenko coming in at number 4. 250 minutes, 15 expected points, has scored 19, has 1 assist, which was from game week 1, 3 shots, no goal, but again, 0.19 on the XG, so very tight with the top 4, but 0.52 with the expected assist because he's got the 1 assist already with the header across the box. Then you've got Cancelo sitting there, so the first premium, quote-unquote, defender comes in at the number 5 spot with 18 points. That's with a donut this week as well. So keep that in mind. I'm going to quickly transition it now to... Why isn't this working? There we go. The highest priced defenders. So hopefully you can see this now on screen.
I will say on Zinchenko, he got, 12 points or 13 points in game week 1? 12. And he's now only on 19. So that kind of sums it up.
Yeah. So that's, probably the little bit of the anomaly there. Dom, is there a trend that you're seeing at all with the premium defenders that might have surprised you? Because there's something that surprised me straight away when I was writing this up. But there's one stat in particular here that's really surprised me. Are you still having a look at it?
Hang on. It's loading, sorry.
Oh, yeah, all good. So I'll go through it, though. So my one was Trent's had 5 shots.
Yeah, I saw that. He's actually had the highest XG, hasn't he?
Out of those defenders, he doesn't have the highest XG.
No, it was another ridiculous stat, or touches in the box, or
it maybe touches in the box, but
it was something ridiculous.
I know between him and Cancelo would be pretty high, but for me it was the 5 shots for Trent, equal with Reece James. But then you're looking at his XG of 0.09. So you're looking at really low percentage shots, though. So it'd be interesting. You can see on the screen there, I'm just trying to read it off mine. It looks like all his shots are from inside the box, I believe. Or 2, is it 2 from inside the box there? I can't
2 inside.
Oh, so you'd assume 3 from outside the box then as well.
Yeah.
But what I like from him is his expected goal involvement so far has been, I don't like it, but is 1.2. So
which is the highest.
He's just below Reece James, who has a goal on the season already. So I think this is where you look at it. Yes, Trent's on 4 points through 3 games.
Yep.
But the data's telling you he's creating chances. And I think that when you compare his expected goal involvement of 1.2 to Kieran Trippier's 0.3, that's a massive shift, but then you're talking a difference of 16 points overall. Because the clean sheets help too, obviously, for defenders.
2 clean sheets for Trippier.
Yeah.
And that his free kick was just a worldie.
Yeah, but the 2 clean sheets gives you an extra 8 points. So double of those points are coming from 2 clean sheets for Trippier too. So that's one thing to consider.
Yep.
Whether we think Liverpool are going to keep any clean sheets in the near future is a different story. But when you're looking at the attacking data, in particular of Trent, what else I found interesting was that Robbo's had 1 shot and has the exact same XG as Trent. The expected assist is a lot lower though, so 0.16 versus 1.1. And the expected goal involvement is quite lower. So if you're going to keep one, the data's telling you keep Trent, which hurts my soul because I really want to keep Robbo because he's looked dangerous. But the data's also not there to support Robbo. So what have you guys noticed in comparing some of the data between top and bottom defenders?
I think it's not a data thing, it's an eye test thing from eye value, sorry. Trent's downfall hasn't been Trent, it's been his attackers.
Yeah.
Missing sitters. Especially the Palace
Bobby missed
game.
a sitter today too.
Bobby missed a sitter. Nunes blazes that volley over the bar. I think Trent's downfall has been his attackers.
Salah missed a cutback in the Palace game that he put past the post as well from Trent. I think something that I like from the statistic point of view, which I look at and I can see, is the difference in expected points versus actual points for Trent, and especially for for Robertson as well, are quite low. Then if you look at James and Cancelo, who are the other two premium defenders that you think of, you think of the ultimate premium four before the season. It's Robbo, Trent, James, Cancelo. You look at Trent and Robertson, well under their expected points of 10 and 7, or 10 and 8, apologies, and they both got 4. Where if you look at the expected points for Cancelo, it's 11.37, and with a donut, he's on 18. And with a 11.78, James is on 15, and he got 1 point this week.
Yeah.
So
I think he got 0.
Yeah.
He got 0.
With that being said, and then knowing what the data was last year, premium defenders historically have always outperformed their expected points, and hence why there's always been so much value at big at the back, because they get so many points for when those assists do come through. When, Salah has a day and he puts 2 on the back of the net for 2 Trent assists, or, even Cancelo in previous games, or James for the goal. You get so much extra value in that. And I think it's good to see that statistical data of the expected points for 2 of the big premium 4. Not the data's there for Trent especially, but no point return. And then if you look at Cancelo and James, their data's been there. They've had bad weeks, and they're still overperforming their expected points because the premium defenders, when they do marry up with their stats, outscore their expected points.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Dom?
Pretty bang on, but the whole big at the back thing, it's really gone down the what, hasn't it?
Well, it's about getting the right ones. That's the thing. So when you're looking at... So I've got Perisic's data here as well. So through 111 minutes, no goals, 2 assists, no shots, which has been interesting. So his XG is actually quite low, 0.02. Expected assist, though, through 111 minutes is 0.9. So he's well exceeded that with 2 assists. But then also got 17 points with minimal minutes. So I feel like there's premium defense, but then there's just getting good defenders as well. So, Saliba, Shah, I'd say, yeah, okay, I can understand they're the anomalies, but we all said Trippier is good enough. Just, are the fixtures good enough? We knew the fixtures were tough, and Newcastle was showing that they're fine with the fixtures. Zinchenko was someone who was in everyone's teams in and out in the start of the season, just didn't know the role. Veltman's come out of nowhere, but Brighton are always good defensive. This is the 10. This is the top 10 now. Perisic, Emerson Royale, Eric Dyer. So there's 3 Spurs defenders, and then Gabriel. So it's not like it's too crazy. I've seen Gabriel in a lot of people's teams as well, being a nailed Arsenal defender. But maybe we don't.
Last year too.
Yep. And maybe it's, have we gone too heavy at the back?
Yeah.
Here's my question. So. If carrying 3 of Trent, Cancelo, and Robertson, do you save $1 million? Do you go get Reece James, who's outperforming his data, but his role's a bit iffy? Or do you, I haven't got the rest of the data in front of me, but I can just sort of see some names on the screen. If we look at the top 10, do you turn a Robertson into a Perisic? Now, the main concern I've got for that turns into minutes. Yeah. But when you're talking 17 points versus 4, do you run the risk? So my big question mark on that top 5 right now is Robertson. Because 2 games in a row when Liverpool have been chasing the game, he's been the one to get hoofed for Tsimikas, to get fresh legs on that left-hand side. That is a huge concern for me as an owner. I haven't made that move yet because I'm scared to take...
He was only in the 85th minute this morning.
Yeah, but last week it was earlier.
Well, it did look like getting sent off, though, against Palace.
Fair point, but...
He was on a card, wasn't he?
He was on a card. And we're already man down. But this is the concern. So obviously we've got Bournemouth this week and Fulham or something the week after. Oh, not Fulham. We've got someone else easy the week after. From memory. I can't remember. Anyway, it is what it is.
Newcastle wouldn't say it's
easy. That's not easy.
Everton.
Oh, that's not easy, no.
Yeah. And then
that's
the
midweek game
there.
as well.
Yeah.
So my thoughts are, do you start looking at downgrading one of your 7s? Data tells you keep Trent, who's 7.5 anyway. Cancelo's the highest performing premium defender. You know, do you make weight there with Robertson? I'm sick of using transfers because I feel like I want to stockpile them, and I've had other issues to deal with, and that's my issue. So as a manager of Robertson, I'm literally on the fence. I backed him.
Same.
But I've got a big decision to make, and I don't. The issue is, do I take the 4? If I look at it, I haven't taken a hit yet. I had a dreadful week this week already, as it was. His 4 points.
Had a dreadful week.
Exactly, but his 4 points really going to hurt that much. That's the thought process I'm having. The issue I have is the Bournemouth fixture is just too good. So
that's my issue. I'm in the same boat.
I honestly want to ride it and see. I'm at the point now where Trippier is probably a start against Liverpool because Newcastle's defence is bloody good, and if they're going to score, it's probably going to be a counter attack or a set piece. So Trippier is probably in the goals, and I think we've undersold him, Dom.
Box.
What was that?
For anything, a free kick around the box.
Yeah, exactly. So I reckon we've undersold his ability to start the majority of games after.
Oh yeah, proved it this week.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the defenders. I feel like the defenders is probably the bigger point because a lot of people have gone and backed premium defenders. Now, it's high. We say all the time, high risk, high reward. If you back guys like Veltman, if you back guys like Zinchenko and Emerson Royale, right now, I feel like it's chasing points, but they've got the points on the board. So you got to kind of go with the twos and fro's. If I pull up the data here, so sorry, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see this, but actually I don't need to pull it up because I've got it in front of me. What am I doing? So if I don't have the premiums. Sorry, I need the premiums. I will switch to that view. So sorry that there's no faces in front of this. But for the premium view, we've got Trent on 4 points, Cancelo on 18, Robertson on 4, Van Dijk on 4, James on 15. So then there's Ruben Diaz at 6 mil on 13 points. Now you're obviously looking at. I was going to see if they're defending. Oh, there's defending stats here. Here we go. I should have done this before. Here we go. So clean sheets. No, we want price. Here we go. Now we're there. Now, can you guys see this on our chat?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep.
So Trent has 5 goals conceded. I don't really care about the tackles, but you lose all the other data. Anyway.
Yeah, it's okay. I've got it here.
So clean sheets across the board, really. So the only team in this window that haven't kept one clean sheet is bloody Liverpool.
Yeah.
So that's all we need from that. We'll go back to key stats.
And you would say that this week should be the week they do it, but I honestly see a world where Bournemouth cause an undermanned Liverpool side a lot of issues.
Yeah. So when you look at this data, it's very Liverpool, City, Chelsea. It's all it is when it comes to premium defenders now.
Yeah.
When you're looking at Robertson downgrade to somebody,
yep.
Is it anybody on this list that is super enticing?
No.
I'd say there's probably one.
That list that you're on now, yes.
I would have said Reece James is a potential, Dom, but I want to see his role. What do you reckon him moving forward?
If you're wildcarding this week, I think you get rid of him.
Get rid of
James.
Get rid of James.
But I don't know.
It's because we don't know the role.
Tuchel takes out of the game. If he sees, wow, that we lost something with Reece not playing right wing back, he'll probably be a lock at right wing back for the rest of the year, and then you want him in your team. It's just the uncertainty.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know?
So I think if you've got Robertson in your team and you are gun-ho on him coming out of your team...
Leave him for this week.
I would leave him for this week as well.
It's boring. And if Liverpool concede, that's when you just say, you know what, not for me.
Yeah, you've ridden it for a month.
If they're conceding at home to Bournemouth and he's blanking, then you know what you just say.
And you've rode it.
Fair enough.
And you've rode him for Fulham, Palace, Man United, and Bournemouth. You can't say you didn't give it a fair crack at that point.
And but then if you transfer him out, it's a win-win. You transfer him. So let's say you transfer him out and he clean sheet and a return 10 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you transfer him out and he blanks,
even better.
Beauty.
Oh, why is that
so just keep him in your team.
That's annoying. Yeah. So anything else that you guys want to add on about our defenders before we make a move into some of the midfielders? Because this is where it gets juicy.
Yeah, and Arsenal one in.
What was that?
I think
Get an
Yeah.
Arsenal defender in.
Yeah, I don't know who though. That's the problem.
Ben White. If you're on a 4.5, Ben White.
I'm thinking more the fact that
I'm almost tempted by Saliba though. You're not taking him
if
out.
you were going to get an Arsenal defender, you should have got him in from the start. So I think now that by this stage you've made your bed, you've got to lay in it. You can't go to it because I think their fixtures, is starting to get worse per every progressive game week. You get Fulham, who can score against them. Villa, the only thing they can do is go forward. You then get United, who looked good against Liverpool this morning, and who knows what rocks up. Everton, obviously in game week 7, you accept as a clean sheet, and then they get Brentford, who've got Tony. So in their next 4, you've got 3 sides that can attack, that can't really defend. They're 3 good games for Jesus and Martinelli and Saka, but I don't think they're 3 good games for defenders.
And we saw it against Leicester as well. Like Arsenal are going to be willing to score, but they may have mistakes in them if teams that are a bit solid. But look, I think if you're going to go any Arsenal, you almost go Ramsdale.
He's the safest one.
Same as you said yesterday, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
all right. Damo, you had a point as well?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're thinking about getting out a defender, remember that the fixtures incoming play a lot. Don't just go get a defender for 1 game week, because then you're never going to have a nailed on defender. Look at a 3-4 game week fixture like I just did there with an Arsenal player. That's why if you're going to go from Robertson to Trippier, which I'm thinking of, make sure you have another defender that has a good stretch of game weeks you can rotate in, because Trippier does get a couple of difficult fixtures.
I think he's
Liverpool
just unplayable. He's just playable in every fixture at the moment because of his set-piece ability.
And that's the reason I'm thinking of taking a -4 and taking Robertson out before Bournemouth, which makes me feel...
I'll do it next week.
Every FPL manager in, vibe inside me says don't do it. But I'm like, if I do it this game week, there's a larger chance I can see Trippier outscoring Robertson this week, because I think we can see the Bournemouth. So...
I don't know.
Don't know about that.
At home,
I think so.
Pressure's on. Few extra numbers back in the squad this week as well.
6'6" Kiefer Moore bringing players into games. We're not going to cope.
Well, it might be Solanke up front, but you never know. All right. So, defender chat. I think if you're targeting anyone, you are targeting probably Perisic. I don't know. I still feel iffy. I don't know what it is, but
you know what? I'm thinking about a wild card. If I'm wild carding, I'm looking at Davinson Sanchez at 4.4. Christian Romero is still out 3 to 4 weeks, I reckon.
Yeah.
There's your lock for clean sheets, and they got a good run. If
Brighton
you need
defenders.
money elsewhere.
Brighton.
Yeah,
defenders.
Brighton.
I'd go after the 4.5 at Brighton ahead of Sanchez, though.
Dunk is nailed.
So is
Dunk or
Veltman.
Veltman.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Dunk, Veltman.
I like
new
Veltman.
The new left back signing in is Spientana, or whatever his name is.
Estupiñán.
Whatever his name is. Yeah,
Is he in the game yet?
No.
Yeah, of course he is. Should be.
Oh, no, he's in the game. Sorry, I thought you said, has he had a game yet?
Yeah, he played on the week and came off the bench.
Oh, doesn't count.
He is a 4.5 defender.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's dirty.
You got to remember, he's
So is
going to be
Lamptey,
nailed
though.
on.
They're all
Lamptey's
4.5, though. No. What I'm saying is they're all 4.5.
Yeah. I think he's going to be more nailed on because it allows Trossard to play in behind the striker again.
Yeah.
And you saw Trossard on the weekend when he came on and Trossard went into the hole. The first thing Trossard did was score.
Yeah, Trossard needs to be there. And we need to start talking about him as a midfield option at 6.5 too, but...
Oh, look, it's Welbeck, Trossard and Gross. And with this other guy at the left back that I can't say his name of, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. What was that, Dom?
I'll put one out there. If you're in a wild card and you want your 4.0 defender, Emerson from Chelsea is about to transfer to West Ham.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's a good shout.
4.0 defender. They're paying 15 million for him.
Yeah, just
once they come good again,
fill a spot.
You'll remember this.
The issue there is Creswell though too.
If they go to a 3 at the back, Creswell left centre back. Emerson's a left wing back by trade.
Big potential. Bit of a risk though if you're going to do it this week though.
Mark my words, he's going to be my 4.0 spot because I've got 4 playing defenders.
Yep, fair enough.
All right,
let's transition into the midfield. Where do you guys want to start? Do you want to start on how our premium midfielders are going or how the top performers are going?
Should we go by ours?
Where was that?
Should we go by what ours did? Is that what you're saying?
Well, more so the data, but my premium was Salah, who
Same.
saved the day with a late goal, and Damo, you're in the same boat. I think we all only got Salah. So let's start with the premiums, because let's start with the negative data. Let's get rid of that negative energy. So on screen now is the top 10 most expensive players. So I've got Salah here at 13 million, 270 minutes, 2 goals, expected 17.4 points, has scored 22, has an assist, has 8. It's had 8 shots, which is surprising because we've kind of struggled to create chances. He's had a 1.1 XG with a 2.3 goal involvement. So across the board from the midfielders, his data is pretty rock solid still. For 13 million, you probably could have gotten away with splitting him into some smaller guys. That's been a viable option. He hasn't come out and really dominated, but to be fair, not one premium across any line has dominated yet. So that's where it's hurt, because people have sort of done the big and small kind of combinations. They've gone the couple premiums and then the couple cheaper guys. That I don't feel like that method's worked so far through 3 game weeks, but it might prove me wrong later. The only other person that's really got comparable data is KDB. So he's had 1 goal and 3 assists, expected 21.5 with 25 total points. He's had 9 shots.
Yeah.
That is the stat that stood out to me massively. If he continues to have 3 shots a game, he is going to score more than 1 goal in 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, not 3 shots a game. Oh, yeah, he's having 3 shots a game. What am I talking about?
Yeah, he's having 3 shots a game, yeah.
So he's got an XG right now of 0.97, which is quite low, given that he's had 9 shots, and he has scored 1 of them. So it sounds like he must be... I can't read it on my screen, but you guys might have a bit bigger than I do. How many of his shots have been inside the box? I think it's 4.
4 and 4.
So that's actually a pretty good split there for De Bruyne. So he is someone who I'm going to openly say I am targeting over the next 3 weeks to get in to my team. I can't do it because I need some moves, and that's why I don't want to... This week, I've had things to do. So if I'm taking a hit, it has to be this week, because everything I do for the next couple weeks is preparing for me to get De Bruyne in around the wildcard time and ride him throughout to the World Cup regardless. Yeah. So I want him in just before. I know they get, I think, Spurs the week of week 8, but I reckon I can get him in the week before, which is game week 7, if I play my cards right. So... which is like West Ham.
Game week 7 is Spurs. In game week 8 he has Wolves.
Sorry, that's right. Get
Spurs
him in for Spurs.
So you go Spurs home, Wolves away, Man United at home, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
play big teams at home.
I want him for that run of games there in game week 7. So I got to start thinking. So
he's fixture proof.
He is fixture proof. You are correct.
The only thing I will say about that is, yet again, you're then targeting him for a game against United, which obviously you don't know what United's going to rock up. You're targeting him then for a run against Liverpool, Arsenal, a very good Brighton defence.
He's just that good.
Proof.
He's that good. I get that, and I know he's fixture proof. But you're telling me during that run of fixtures, an 8.5 midfielder, like actually Maddison's got the fixtures, I think, at 8 mil.
I'd want De Bruyne. I'd rather have
he's not going to score as much.
And a Wilson or De Bruyne and Mitrovic by then than Haaland and a 6 midfielder. That's how I'm comparing it.
Yeah, which is fair. And I've toyed with that idea as well.
Yeah, so that's where I'm thinking real long term. And then looking at this data tonight...
Does that mean you're taking Salah out for De Bruyne?
No. So I'm moving the money from Haaland to De Bruyne, and I'm turning one of those... what's it called? The Haaland down. So Haaland goes down to a 6-something forward. Yeah. And then De Bruyne with money in the bank goes up from probably from Martinelli at that point. Because I reckon with some European football and whatnot, I don't think Arsenal's depth is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting him out in game week 10. So
if my other midfielder that's come in starts to fizzle out, who I'll review on Friday, then I've got an easy option up as well. So
yeah,
I've got a way there. I've got it in my head, but I need to make some money in the next week or so, which is why Robbo is really important to this. If I go Robbo to Perisic, I get this done really easily and in 2 game weeks. Or I can take a hit to get it done if I really need to.
Which is fair.
I'm in a position, and I can get it done quicker as well, which if I chase fixtures, I could do. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about my team because we don't want to talk about data, but De Bruyne's data is looking bloody good, and that I never would have thought I'd be saying it this early in the season. I really thought Haaland was just going to hit the ground running. It didn't matter what was happening. We haven't looked at Haaland's data, but I've got one wrong here. And what's funny is their points, I think they're one apart. They are 1 point apart overall on the season, but everything here, Haaland's had 11 shots and De Bruyne's had 9.
Yeah.
Everything else tells you De Bruyne should be doing better. That's the scary bit.
And he gets extra points for goals
and he gets the odd clean sheet point here and there too.
Yeah, which is why midfielders are so worth their weight in gold, the premiums.
Yeah. So those two premiums are probably the only premiums in the game with Cancelo that are actually doing their job.
And I'm just going to mention it. Salah's got those stats playing at a Liverpool side that's got no form. There's ever been a statistical look at why he's worth 13 mil. Imagine if he was in A, himself in clinical form, and B, Liverpool in top gear.
Yeah.
So
he's justifying why you pay the money for him.
Yeah, he doesn't matter what he does. He always finds a way to get fantasy points. He just morphs into fantasy points. So if you could somehow have both in your squad, that's huge.
Yeah. And I think Dom and I, we've been talking about that a while now, haven't we? About trying to somehow get De Bruyne in. Yeah. The easiest way to do it is to wildcard.
That's the one what if. That's the one what if. Like if you could go back in time.
And that's what
De Bruyne over Haaland.
I'm not going to lie.
Or whoever you did.
I've genuinely contemplated wildcarding this week just to get that shape that I really want.
I think De Bruyne silly. Is a wildcarder. He's a set and forget. He's fixture proof.
To have Salah, to have something of the lines of Salah, De Bruyne, Martinelli, Tony, Jesus, Mitrovic, just screams to me, or Wilson, or Welbeck. It's literally that one move, or have a Rodrigo in there as well. Instead, if you can work it and fix and go away from the premium defenders for a little bit, because not one of those premium defenders make me feel comfortable other than Cancelo. If I had to make money, Cancelo's the only one at the moment that I feel comfortable holding.
Yeah, I'm not going to say get Trent out before Bournemouth, but yeah.
No, but if you'd take one of them out, you'd take Robbo. I mean, Robbo's at 8% owned. It's crazy. But
if it meant getting De Bruyne in,
it will probably go down again. What was that, Dom?
Yeah, I was touching on that. The Liverpool boys are going down. Trent's going down 100,000%.
I reckon this week, yeah, probably.
He is transferred out by 228,000 managers already.
That almost makes me want to just pull the trigger on the wild card, to be honest. Him and Robbo. Robbo go down again. I don't want to do it without thinking about it properly, but
Trent's target's at negative.
The only thing Robertson is
at negative 52%.
No, Robertson won't go down.
Robbo,
just checking. No, he won't.
He went down last week though. He had a big exodus last week.
Yeah, he won't go down this week.
Anyway, so other premium mids: Son, Sterling, Fernandez, all have been dreadful. Just to put it lightly, the data's been in front of you guys for like 5 minutes, but I'll just brush over it. The one thing that Son's got for him, he's played only 245 minutes. So he's played the least amount of minutes out of the top 5 priced midfielders, but he's also had 9 shots. So that's a real positive for Son. He's had an XG of 1.05. The one that's got me is the assist. He's only got a 0.45 for his assists through 3 games. So it looks like the role's changed a bit. It looks like for the eye test for me with Harry Kane is he's dropping in really deep. Like he is getting real involved in the link up. And then they're sending Kulusevski and they're sending Son. So they kind of emulate a bit of Liverpool with the wingers. And then that allows the wing backs to really support. So are you guys seeing the similar thing that I'm seeing there?
Yeah, I agree.
That didn't surprise me about his XA numbers. But then he's got 10 points on the season, expected 15. The Southampton game could have been one where he grabbed a bit more. Chelsea, I didn't think he did much, did he, Dom? Son, James pocketed him, eh?
James well and truly pocketed him, but that won't happen every week.
Yeah. And then, really, we didn't actually notice him much against Wolves, did we?
Wolves did unreal though.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah. So that's fair. And then Sterling, unlucky, had the goal offside this week as well, which would put them 1-0 up, I think, at the time.
What do you think of Sterling, Dom, being a Chelsea fan so far?
You wouldn't touch Chelsea players. They're a bit over the shot. Give them a month or so.
I watched the game and I thought he got into some really good areas. And the same with Cucurella, who I know he's not a defender we spoke about. But I thought between him and Cucurella, there was returns to be had. They were just a bit unlucky on the day. I feel like, obviously, Cucurella sets up Sterling for the offside goal. Cucurella's getting in that high advanced area. It's creating space for Sterling. Creating space for Sterling to pick the ball up and actually drive inside, because the defender has to worry about Cucurella overlapping.
Mm.
And and obviously Sterling had that one shot. He tried to go far corner that went just past the post at 0-0 as well.
Mm.
I will say, in my plans at the minute, I've actually got Sterling in for a 2-game week punt. Not yet, but it's coming up.
Don't mind it. When's that?
Good question. I got it right here. Give me 2 clicks of a button. I'll let you know.
It just depends on his role for me, whether he plays central.
Give Chelsea a month.
Game week 6 and game week 7. You got West Ham, I believe, at home, then Fulham away.
Yeah, don't mind that.
And I'll look for those 2. And then he's out for, I believe, in my plan, Maddison in game week. Game week 8
Liverpool in game week 8.
Yeah, and he's out for then Bowen, who's another punt to get me to my wild card.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Bad.
Yeah, because then I'll get Bowen for Everton, Wolves, Fulham, and then he becomes part of a midfield.
West Ham look dreadful. They still haven't scored a goal.
Yeah, but I think by that stage they would have figured out what's going on, and Bowen's going to get going.
But there's a plethora of 8 mil mids anyway at that point anyway.
Bowen's 8.4 mid.
Yeah, well, he started 8.5.
But he's got to probably drop down in price, and I'm just going to pick him up for Everton, Wolves, and Fulham, and be like, hello.
Yeah, good point. All right, let's get back to the positives. So let's look at some of the midfielders that have been overperforming at the moment.
Yes, let's do it.
And let me just switch it around for you guys so you can see what I want you to see. So there we go. Cool. Let's start with number 1 man, Rodrigo. In at 6.3 million with 4 goals in 3 games, which is bloody hell. Top goal scorer in the league at the moment through 3 games. Expected 22.7. He's on 35 points at the moment. Shout out JS, called it at the start of the season, but didn't back his own prediction. So he got him in this week for 13, but 1 assist, which he got on the weekend against Chelsea, I believe. 13 shots, though, is unbelievable.
That is correct.
He's playing up front in a team that's creating a lot of chances. Part of that is he's dragging Aronson and Jack Harrison with him at the moment because they're the ones creating the chances for him. So leads attack, in essence. Very good fixtures. If you're going to go any of Rodrigo, if you can get to Rodrigo, I think the goal factor is just too big at the moment to miss out on. But if you're desperate, Jack Harrison, who's number 4 on the list at the moment at 6 million. If you just can't get to Rodrigo, Jack Harrison's probably just as dangerous. It's funny, when you look at the expected assist numbers, he's only got 1.67 through 3 assists. So that's a surprising stat for me, that he's only expected so far to have just over 1.5 assists. He's got 3. So he's overperforming that quite a lot.
One of them is where I think he knows nothing about it. It hits his back of his heel and falls to Rodrigo.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And so I think they gave him 0.1 or 0.2 of an assist for that, and obviously gets an assist. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then out of that, there's Gross, who everyone's spoken about, and Martinelli. So the top 5 midfielders, really, when you're looking at Rodrigo, De Bruyne, no one expected Rodrigo. No one expected Jack Harrison. Gross, I feel like he's someone that gets spoken about for a period of time every year, but doesn't maintain that momentum. It's just that the momentum's right now in the start of the season. But out of those midfielders there, I think if you didn't start with Martinelli, and you haven't got him by now, you've missed out. You've missed the boat big time. De Bruyne. I just keep coming back to bloody De Bruyne, and it's going to make me want him this week because they've got Crystal Palace and then Forest.
Yeah.
And De Bruyne's the type of player that it doesn't matter. He'll start. If he's going to get rotated, he's going to come off early. But I don't see him not playing in the midfield 3. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially if Bernardo does leave.
No, Bernardo's not going.
Yeah, I think they don't want to sell now.
No, he's not going. He started on the weekend. You wouldn't sell a player.
No.
Yeah, okay,
But
fair enough.
I will say that out of those midfielders, and you look at the stats, De Bruyne's obviously as a premium is performing very well against those stats. Is there maybe something to be said that if you can rotate the fixtures between a Harrison, a Gross, or Rodrigo,
With
and then you
De Bruyne.
with a De Bruyne or a Salah, depending on which way you go with it,
Oh, man, imagine just having the
that
extra
is
midfielder on your bench just to cover in
yeah,
case he gets rotated.
yeah. And then you're like, hello. The only problem is I think if De Bruyne doesn't start, Pep throws him on in the 70th minute, no matter what game it is, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Depends if they're winning,
it's
though.
It's five
It's not
subs.
3-0 against, I don't know, who sucks.
Five subs.
Southampton.
Forest.
I reckon
Yeah.
you would do it.
They wouldn't even bother.
No, I don't think he would.
Warm. Like chucking Cole Palmer or something.
It's a question of, do you want a wild card to get the De Bruyne stats
I think I do.
and fixtures now?
De Bruyne is worth
Or do you-
wildcarding for.
Yeah, and I
Or
think
do you?
the way you do it, I reckon, is you take the money out of your defence and you just cover yourself with the off fixtures with another midfielder and leave them as your sub one. So you play
Do
like...
you have an Andreas Pereira then on the bench who is performing
100%
quite well
you
as
do.
well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how they rotate the fixtures, but I think end of the day, I don't know.
You can only start 5 at any given time. And to be fair, if you could have 6 or 7, 4.5 to 6 midfielders and perform well.
You could.
Yeah.
I'd still want Salah and De Bruyne in the same team, though.
I would too, obviously, but it makes it very hard everywhere else.
I think the defence is where you cut the bullet. I'm carrying a lot of money. Well, we're both carrying a lot of money in defence right now.
So if you're wild cutting them this week, I'll put it to you, Paul. You cutting Trent and you're cutting Robertson out against Bournemouth, so you can go Cancelo and a few of the cheaper ones to fund that midfield. That's the thing because I feel icky
I'm
doing
probably
that.
cutting Trippier.
Ooh.
At 5.
I don't know if I'm doing that right now.
That's the call though,
That's huge. That
because obviously you can't keep. I don't think you can keep Trent and Cancelo. If I had to, I'd probably double down City defence. If I had to,
yeah, I would. Too,
I'd Cancelo Walker at this stage probably. Cancelo Diaz and save a 1.5 that way.
But I reckon you go Cancelo Edison more nailed, but
Yeah, I don't mind that. It's a shout.
yeah, 5.5. Going to get 6 points for medicine every game week.
And then it's literally going to be those 5s and 5-5. So it'll be Perisic coming in, Cancelo, Perisic, Brighton defender. You know, like we can talk wildcard strategy forever, but that's the way I'd go about it. I think you just got to get value in the defence until the World Cup now. Run the fixtures, run the Brentford guys as well. Pray for attacking returns more than clean sheets and go from there. So let's move on to the strikers. I don't think this is going to be as in depth with the strikers because the data's okay, but no one really jumped out to me. Let's go with the top price forward to start with. Erling Haaland, 24 points overall. Not bad. Probably would have expected him to maybe get, 30 is pretty generous, but not generous, harsh, I should say, but I was expecting at least a 2-goaler at some point in this first 3. And the minutes have concerned me at 242 already. And Pep's come out saying that he's going to rotate him. That's where I'm worried. I'm worried already. 3 weeks in. Talk us through it, Dom.
When your manager says that.
3 weeks into the season.
3 games in 8 days coming up, and they're easy fixtures. Like if you knew he was starting all 3 of those.
Yeah.
So those games are Palace, Forest, Villa.
That's why I want De Bruyne for those.
Oh.
That's why I really want De Bruyne.
Alvarez, I think, starts against Forest. I think this week, Saturday, he'll go Erling Haaland again, but Forest at
for like
home,
65 minutes if they're winning.
He's going to go Alvarez start. I just think the writing's on the wall.
Damo, what do you think?
Yeah. I agree. I want, if the thing is, I've got Haaland currently. If I don't wildcard now, I'm going to captain him for that game, and I can see where he gets rotated, but he's too good to not captain in that game. And if he comes on and doesn't start, comes on the 7th minute, he could still score 2 in 20. But I'm literally, in my plans, I'm planning to not wildcard a game week 12. And I am planning in that game week after, which is game week, I think, 6 or 7, after they play Forest, to actually move off the City, Foden, Haaland that I've got to the Sterling punt with Ivan Toney.
Okay.
But I am tempted to wild card this week as well for the above mentioned reasons.
Yeah. And I think it's just security. We've made a bit of money on him. We get the 0.1 out of him because he's 11.7 at the moment, and maybe just take it and run. Harry Kane, so Dom, another one that you started with. So 16 points. Been underwhelming. Again, premium players not doing it. The underlying data, though, is not as bad as it looks, which is nice.
Yeah, but the eye test, failed the eye test. He drops in deep. He's almost playing as a 10, and then Kulusevski and
Son are getting
come in as both those 9s.
Yep.
Which I like, but not for FPL.
Yep, I'd have to agree. It's good for the actual game plan, but not what we want to see.
He dropped in the 2 wide Son and Kulusevski come in as 9s. The wing backs play as the wingers, and then Kane's almost like a 10.
Arriving.
Makes great football, but not great FPL.
And his data he's kind of just hit the expected. He's a bit under his expected points, but 2.08 goals, 1.32 assists, and then 3.4 goal involvements. He's not far off that anyway. So it's kind of, what they're expecting. He hasn't gone and smashed it home yet. He's obviously had the hard fixture against Chelsea where he got a return, but then it drops off massively for the premium forwards. You got Ronaldo, Vardy, and Darwin Núñez. Obviously, Darwin with the suspension involved. He's only played 1 and a bit games. Impressive for Darwin, though. He's had 9 shots in a game in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's big. And maybe that's an option if you're wildcarding this week. It's an option in a few weeks' time when he comes back. But other than that, you got Ronaldo, Vardy. You wouldn't go near either of them just yet, especially with Ronaldo getting 5 minutes last night. Definitely not ideal, but I kind of liked him as a differential. But the way Rashford played in that number 9 role, Ten Hag would be silly not to run Rashford in there. And I feel sorry for all those owners that took Rashford out of their midfield last week because he looked bloody unbelievable this morning with the runs he was making.
If you're wildcarding, do you bring Rashford back in?
Not with the fixtures.
Put that to you.
Not just yet. I want to see a bit more.
Exactly. I'd want to see it for another 2 weeks in that role. If it's that same role.
Did he play as a 9? He did, didn't he?
He played 9 until Martial came on and he went left. Martial at 7 mil could be a shout.
From injury, though.
Coming back from injury yet, but...
Yeah, like you said, give it a couple of weeks, and if Ronaldo leaves...
100% one of them comes in.
One of them comes in, yep. And once their fixtures open up a bit.
And Rashford at 6'5", even off the left wing, would still be fine, I think. Potentially. Anyway, so that's the top forwards. The highest scoring forwards, Ivan Toney, my boy. If I wildcard this week, he stays in my team. Fixtures are just too good.
Same with Jesus.
Underlying stats for Toney are really bad, though. So 18 expected points, has 25. Scored 2, got 2 assists from 5 shots. So he had 2 goals disallowed last week as well. So could have been a real big return from Ivan Toney. But 1.2 XG on a 2. 1.18 expected assists on 2. And 2.5 goal involvements expected on 4. So he's someone who goes against my grain of data, but the fixtures that are coming up are just too juicy for Ivan Toney. So I'd love to see the involvement up a little bit from an expected perspective, but he's someone who does create a lot for the team, and then a lot of his goals are approaching the 6-yard box, tap-ins. That's what he's like, but he gets involved in the build-up too. So he's not the type to just pull one out of his butt from 15 yards out, edge of the box, and just smash it. But, he has a role. Jesus at 257 minutes, 2 goals, 3 assists, 10 shots. What more to say? Expected 3 involvements, has 5. And really, he was that close to a goal on the weekend with an offside. And he's looking really good. So if you've got Jesus, awesome. If you don't have Jesus, find a way to get Jesus because he's about 80% owned at the moment. And I captained him.
What are you doing?
What do you mean? If you don't have him, what are you doing? Yeah, you got to have him. At this point, you got to have him. Erling Haaland, we've spoken about. Ollie Watkins. Now, Dom, do you want to have a bit of a chat about our boy Ollie Watkins? He comes in as the 4th highest scoring, or equal 4th highest scoring midfielder forward. I know we've spoken about him a bit.
Not yet.
Not
he
yet?
goes West Ham, Arsenal, Man City, Leicester.
It's a very tough run.
Next.
The tough run.
Then he goes Southampton, Leeds, Forest.
And he's overperforming his data a little bit. So he's 1 goal, 2 assists from 4 shots with a 0.94 XG, 0.62 expected assist, and 1.6 goal involvement. So he's well overperforming the data, but so he's played all 3 games. He's played 204 minutes. I just don't like Villa at the moment as well. I just don't know what they're settled on, who's where. Is Bailey up front? Is it Watkins and Ings? What's going on with Ings?
Bit of overshot, yeah.
Bit of everything. Is it Buendia? Is it going to be Coutinho when he's back? You know, there's just so much to play out there, so I'd go away from him. And the last forward, Damo, you must be kicking yourself because you talk about this guy so much whenever Fulham are in the Premier League.
Yep.
Mitro, 18 points, tied for 4th highest, came in at 6.5 up to 6.6.
Yep.
269 minutes, so he's just come off for 1 minute. Probably a game was a time-wasting sub on the weekend, I think it was. 27.7 expected points, though, and you made a really good point off camera on why that was, and I'll give you that opportunity to say it in a minute. 3 goals, 15 shots from Mitro, though.
Yeah, he's looked good.
I'm very tempted. I know the fixtures are not good, but he's the type of striker that can just pop up and do it anyway. He's on penalties. Do you just potentially ride the wave? But if he's going to have 15 shots in 3 weeks against some good opposition, do you just wear it? What was that, Dom?
One might just trickle in. Yeah, he could lose 4-1.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's tempting, but I wouldn't be getting on him till game week 8. But then from game week 8, you ride him to the World Cup.
So you could go Danny Welbeck from now to 8.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what
go
I'm
sideways.
Thinking. If I was the wild card, I would Welbeck till game week 8 and then go sideways to Mitro.
That's a good shout because Brighton's fixtures are pretty good too. And I mean, he hasn't looked like scoring there, has he, Welbeck? I haven't actually looked at his data, but
his data's pretty decent. Up till game week 8, he has Palace, and it's a great switch because Brighton have Liverpool, and then you get the Mitrovic run of fixtures. I will say that Brighton have some unreal fixtures at the minute, so it's always nice.
Just looking at Danny Welbeck's data here, so. Sorry, I'll just read it out to you guys. So 3 games, 269 minutes. He had 6 shots, 5 of them inside the box.
Yep.
But with a XG of 0.17, so real low XG for 6 shots and 5 inside the box. 50, what's he got? A 0.9 expected goal involvement with 2 assists, but a 0.7 at the moment, and 14 points overall. So not bad from Danny Welbeck, but with fixtures getting sort of better, real potential to start seeing some goal returns there. If he's going to have bloody 5 shots in the box in 3 weeks, eventually he's going to start netting a few of them. And between Gross, Trossard, the fullbacks all getting involved, I think Danny Welbeck could be a real viable option there at 6.5 long term.
I agree.
I didn't think I'd say that.
So at the moment, let's get a bit of a around the table. What's a percentage chance of you guys wildcarding this week? We'll start up above me, Damo.
I'm currently trying to build a wildcard on the Fantasy Premier League website, so that's my answer.
I could tell you were. I'm probably 65-35 in favour of doing it.
Same.
After I've already made a transfer this week, but I think that'll just get wiped out anyway.
Yeah, it does, because as long as you didn't take a hit, you're fine.
I haven't taken a hit. I'm a Hawk.
I've already wildcard.
So, after last week, where Dom and I were pretty strong on not pulling the trigger, I think all 3 of us may potentially wildcard. So that could make Friday an interesting discussion around what we've done, because I think there's going to be some similarities if we all do wildcard this week, but there's definitely been some things we haven't all agreed on, which will make it a pretty fun stream episode, which we'll do Friday night, our time. So we've got a few questions, but I think, is there anything else data-wise you guys want to bring up? Anyone that's caught your eye? Someone you thought, the data might not be there, but the eye test is there. Someone stood out for you guys?
Yeah, there is actually.
Go for it.
Crystal Palace, Zaha and Eze, if we could.
I love Zaha.
I've been on these guys for ages.
I just wanted to see the fixtures clear up.
That when their fixtures clear up, get a Palace mid
have a look.
or Zaha.
Yeah, look, I will say that one of my 2 options, transfer wildcard this week or game week 12. In game week 12, the wildcard I built for game week 12 has 3 Brighton players, and that was Eze, Mitchell,
Man,
and
Palace.
Palace, apologies.
I just want to see. So fixture difficulty rating. I mean, if you could just get if you're wildcarding this week, yes, Crystal Palace have Man City.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but you could set your team up to have them in, whether you start them, whether you bench them, whatever. You then get Brentford, which just could be a goal fest, to be honest. Newcastle, Man United, Brighton, Chelsea, Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, Everton, Southampton. It gets good from like game week 8. But you could really ride it from next week, though. You could ride Brentford, Newcastle, Man United, Brighton.
Yep.
Do you just find a way to get Zaha in? He's the type of player that could score against Man City. I think we need to start thinking about Man City is not a juggernaut Space Jam type team that are not going to concede goals. Yes, it might be frustrating, but if you've got midfielders and attackers against these teams, someone is going to have to put the ball in the back of the net.
Trippier did it.
Callum Wilson, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the quality outweighs the opposition. Are City going to concede 3 every week? No, they're not. But is there possibilities that teams that are expressive and play good football, there's chances there? How many times has Andros Townsend scored against Manchester City in big games? That's what I'd be looking at. So,
and even if they lose, you still get their attacking returns, especially from your forwards. Clean sheets don't matter.
Exactly
they
right.
Lose 10-2, score 2, get
and look good.
Points. Yeah,
so that's a great shout there, Damo, for Zaha. Dom, anyone else that's really stood out for you at the moment?
That I'm thinking about bringing in.
Doesn't mean you have to bring him in, but just someone that you've got.
I'm looking at Ivan Toney, probably.
Yeah, I mean, he was mine. I did everything possible to get him in.
And probably a Leeds player.
Yeah.
I like their run.
I'm leaning, if you had to pick one of their 3 midfielders, who would you go for?
No question. He's playing as a 9. Bamford's nowhere near the team.
Damo?
It depends if you want to pay the money for Rodrigo, which I think a lot of people may struggle to get
He's
to.
only 6.2.
Yeah, but that 0.2 could cost you in another spot. I think then you go Harrison and just ride that train. But if you can get him in, get him in.
Yeah. And then other than that, there's not really heaps of people left, is there?
No, I've talked about it all.
We've kind of covered it all at this point. So, I mean, that's what I'd be looking at. Someone I kind of want to keep an eye on, and we've spoken about him a few times, is St. Maximin. Just see how creative he is. Someone that's probably disappointed me has been Bruno Guimaraes. Thank God I didn't hold him.
He's playing as a 6.
But yeah, playing too deep. So let's get into some questions, because we've got a couple, I think, and I'm just getting the questions up now. From the Russ Bus, will Casemiro be a good option to bring in? I am going no. You don't want defensive midfielders that are going to screen the back 4.
Great signing, but not for FPL.
You share that same view, Damo?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, cool. All right, this is a very relevant question to us right now. Who is the better striker? Tony, Wilson, or Welbeck? Rank them.
That is so hard.
Give me all 3 of them.
Tony first, and then just because Wilson has got the points on the board, Wilson, but I'll believe with the fixture run it's Welbeck, then Wilson.
Yeah, Tony's a clear number 1, I think, there.
Yeah, I agree.
At the moment.
He's got Everton at home. He's going to absolutely bully them.
Yeah.
Connor Cody versus... Oh, mate. I just want to have a look. Let's go fixture tracker. So we're looking at... Where are we? Game week 4. And we're looking at Newcastle and Brighton. So Danny Welbeck goes Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace for the next month. Newcastle go Wolves, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth. It's actually not that. It's the Liverpool fixture.
Yeah.
It's just one fixture. Other than that, it's quite similar. So if I was actually picking, I would probably just lean on Callum Wilson and go get me a goal at Anfield, buddy boy. Again, on penalties. You know, if I hold Trippier, would I go double Newcastle against Liverpool? Maybe not, but maybe I would. But I think Wilson, proven, is the difference there. Welbeck is looking good, but it's been a long time since he's been overly relevant in the league, where Callum Wilson, when fit, just scores goals. 2 in 3. I don't think they had a 0-0, didn't they, against Brighton? So he's just looking like he's finding the back of the net. Another good finish against Man City too. He's just quality. If you give him half a chance, he puts it away. Danny Welbeck's had 5 shots inside the box and hasn't scored a goal. I'm probably leaning Callum. Well, I don't know what's the price difference. They're the same. They're both 6.5.
Wilson's 7.4.
Oh, Wilson's 7.4. Okay, there's a bit of extra
he
money
went
in
down.
Wilson.
He went down in price, which I believe he's going to ride back
Wilson's
up.
just a clinical true number 9.
Who takes penalties as well, which is big for me. I'd rather pay. I actually pay the $1 million for the penalties, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he won't get rotated.
After 5, after the Liverpool game.
Oh, done real after 5, but you could actually play him against Liverpool too. Our defence is that bad at the moment that a good team will put chances in there.
Yeah, I agree.
He doesn't even need not even half a chance.
Yep. All right, and then we've got HC16. I think this might be his first question in the.
It is. He's
Discord.
one of my lads. He's one of my lads from the
good boy.
from my stream.
And when is the best game week to wildcard? Well, I think if you've listened to our answers, it's relative to your team. I won't say it's this week.
Good. Yeah.
If you're flying and you don't have half your money invested in your defence that's not scoring, then roll it. But then don't roll it. Like roll with it. Sorry, but if you're like us and we're struggling because we're hanging on to Trent Robbo's and players that aren't scoring heaps, we're pulling the pin so we can spread the money more evenly. We went real big at the back and it's not really paid off. So that's kind of where we're at. Sorry the talk for you guys, but that's sort of your thoughts and feelings on it at the moment.
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to your team shape at the moment, and if you've got a similar shape like us and you're confident in riding Robbo, there's 2 reasons I'm potentially wildcarding this week: Haaland / De Bruyne, and spreading the Robbo money. 2 reasons, and that means more to me than trying to ride a clean sheet because I'm scared of Haaland at the same time. And I had Pedro Neto. So I'm like, that's 3 big things that I really needed to fix with 1 transfer. I think it's just time to reset. I gave it a crack for 3 weeks. Yes, I said I wanted to give it a month, but I've got 3 really big concerns, and I didn't think Robertson was going to be one. I knew Haaland was going to be a rotation risk, and I knew Pedro Neto potentially was going to be a risk. I couldn't manage that, but I can't manage the Liverpool midfield at the moment and the defence and the issues that we've got. So that extra issue on top of my team, because then it's impacting on Trent. So I don't mind riding one of them blanking, but when it's 2 of them and you're putting £14.5 million into them, you got to see something out of that. So sorry to just talk at you guys for 30 seconds, but
no, that's all right. I think that's pretty good verbalization of the predicament a lot of us are in.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the week where you see a lot of split from the template.
Yeah.
Because people are going to get sick of Liverpool players, really.
Yeah.
That aren't... Like, if you've got Luis Diaz, you're probably thinking the same thing at the moment. He's had 1 return.
Someone I forgot about.
Yeah, but he's had 1 return and he hasn't looked good.
Though.
But he probably... But if he blanks again, like, he has not looked good. He really hasn't.
I think...
Actually, against Fulham, he was okay. I'll give him that. Fulham, he was okay. Yeah. Palace, he was very lucky. It was a good goal, but that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
And then he was dreadful.
Same category as Robertson, I think.
Yeah, look, I think you're going to either get a lot of people wildcard this week because they want to get on De Bruyne ASAP, and you're going to get a lot of people wildcard next week at Liverpool blank again after giving them Bournemouth.
Liverpool won't blank again.
Who knows?
That's the thing. If you believe Liverpool won't blank again, you could then push that wild card with making 2 transfers in game week 6 or 7 to game week 8, 9. And if you play cards right, from what I've planned, you can get to game week 12 if you want to be one of those that wild card late. So it just depends on how your team's set up. How brave are you to stick by your planning? Or do you want to gamble?
Do you want De Bruyne
and get on De Bruyne and captain him?
Do you want the one locked-in asset of Man City's midfield and attack? That's the question.
Would imagine De Bruyne starting 90% of the matches. Just the one thing that you always worry about is, does he get rotated?
I'd love to see a history of his minutes
it's
when
pretty
he's not
good,
injured.
Apart from when he's not been injured, it's been really good.
That's the thing. I think he just has a spot in that team. I think the rest of the team gets built around him. I feel like Foden's probably the one there that's still locked in the most.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went for him at 8 mil. Is he out of all the minutes, he goes from the left to the right, whatever. Pep always starts him.
Yeah, so that's an option, but I don't really want to go near the 8 millions at all.
Look, that's the only thing that's keeping me from not wildcarding. I've got Foden, I've got Haaland. I can ride that and then take him out in game week 6, where I think they start getting rotated for Champions League, which is after Forest. But if I want De Bruyne and he's going to be nailed, it's the same dilemma as you, Paul. It's wildcard or not.
Yeah. All right. So I think Friday we're going to have an interesting discussion around what the hell's happened.
We are.
I think
a lot could happen.
There's going to be some chips played. Well, there's a chip played already on the table. Dom's gone early on it. I could be following suit. But boys, once again, thank you for your time and insights this evening. And we'll be back ready to go on Friday.
Cheers, lads.